Welcome to Let's Talk Business Show. My name is Doreen Bizuru. This is a show that hosts entrepreneurs and business owners that inspires other people out there. So if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and comment your ideas, and actually tell me who you want me to host next. So today we have business owner, entrepreneur, with a lot of things that he has to share with us. He was also in the Forbes 30. Let's welcome Isaya Yunge from Tanzania. So how are you, Isaya?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm okay. It's so great to have
Yeah.
you here. And I'm so
Yeah.
honored. Finally, I'm actually having an interview with a person who's been in the Forbes 30. That's a great thing.
No, yeah. Thank you. I mean, I'm also very honored and humbled that you thought that I would be a good addition into your interviews and invite me. So thank you for that.
Yes. So do you consider yourself as a leader?
Because yes, I'm a leader. I lead my life every day. I have to lead myself to wake up early in the morning sometimes, go to meeting and show up every day. So I'm a leader. First of all, I have to lead myself and then people around me. Yeah.
Yeah, so it has to start from you.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the Forbes 30. How did you find
Yeah.
yourself there? Like, what if I want to also be Forbes 30 and other people out there interested? How do they get themselves there?
It's a fun thing. If you might have done some research on my Instagram page, you'll find that the post that I posted, I don't know when, somewhere around last year or
Mm-hmm.
a year back, when I was in high school, based on how I grew up, based on my life and everything around me, I used to have dreams, like say things that I will become somebody. I I'm big in affirming things that I want to have, and that comes because part of my ability is I'm very imaginative. I imagine things a lot. I could just paint you my next 10 years right now, and people always think I'm crazy, but that's always me. And and so that power. Then I learned Photoshop. So in high school, I actually well, before that I would hear BBC News or somebody from Nigeria is among the top 100 most influential people in the world. Somebody he's on the list of these people, 100 list in photos. Oh, this list, how cool to be in the list of the most,
Influential
intellectual
people.
or of influential people in the world, like the 100 people. This is cool. So I said, like, one day I'm going to be in the same list. So in high school, my history teacher really taught us about Afrocentric, African history. Really talking much about the glory of Africans, people that is not often told or taught in schools. The story
Yeah.
that is left out, apart from colonialism. So he was talking about the wealthy Africans, the Africans who were manufacturers, who were traders, who had industry back in the days. And I grew fond with the idea and the notion, oh, Africans were business people, having scientific discovery, and they're having they are worthy people. We had, the most famous Mansa Musa by the time, and so I said one of my vision and my goal is I hate poverty. I live on this earth. Before I leave and before I die, I would love to be a worthy person, to die a worthy person and create a legacy. So the Forbes came in all this idea of wanting to do good and wanting to create worthy and knowing the power of how worth it can help one to, help community around him and people around him, you know. And so in
Yeah.
high school, I said I'll be on Forbes because now Forbes was big. Forbes is the most worth people, so I'm gonna be there.
Mm.
So I drew myself. Actually, I went on. I don't know. Actually, went on. I was learning Photoshop, so I photoshopped myself on a photo, and I put a background. Forbes high school view, and I put myself there, and I said I will be on Forbes one day. That's how
Wow.
it started. That was 2012. So I lived to that, working, juggling around life, and doing many things to where I was, and then suddenly I said, you know what, I'm almost 27. There's a Forbes 30 under 13. How do I miss this market? Because I need to apply for this opportunity. So 2 years before the Forbes, I started studying who goes into Forbes,
Yes.
what do they do, what are their projects, where are they from. I stalk them on Instagram. How is a normal life apart from the photo? Like what is the behind the scene life? Do they post raw life experience that we have to see and see? Are these people that are so special and unique from me or some of us here? And so 2 years I spent the journey to study these people and know their lives, their companies. I picked few, I followed them through. And I said, these
Wait,
are
before you
yeah.
continue, did you get a chance to actually ask one of the people that you found? Like maybe message them
No, I didn't want to
or
do
you
that.
just
So
you just went behind the scenes.
I'm a very fan of research behind the scene.
Okay.
Because it just gives me to see that which they don't want to show us. When you ask somebody, they'll tell you what they want to share, but there's always more and extra, and that you get when because they always share things in interviews. So behind the scene is when you see the thing that they don't want even to share with us, and that's the real thing that you study and say, no, this is actually what happening. And so then I remember, so when Forbes announced the list, I think that was 2017 time around, and I said, no, I'm going to apply. 2018, I applied for that. One person actually in Tanzania who really inspired me, I saw him on Forbes. His name is Edwin Bruno. He's one of a great innovator here in Tanzania.
Yeah.
Earlier on when I was starting my journey, I used to mirror him, look into what he was doing, younger achievement, Zake, I mean, his achievements, but basically the way he carried himself. And when he was in Forbes, I was really happy because, this is somebody
Yes.
I'm actually looking at him.
Yeah, representing your
So,
nation.
and so I remember I posted his on my IG, his photo when he was on Forbes, but he never 2 years he never knew why I posted him. That was 20, I think, somewhere 2014 or 15.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, a few years back, I applied myself to be on Forbes. So you apply, brought in the opportunity, shared with my team, you guys, Forbes here, I'm going to apply. And, I think we've done enough for a company. We have enough to show traction. And after all, Forbes under 30 doesn't look for the worthy young people. Forbes under 30 looks for, promising entrepreneurs that if they're well backed, if they're well supported, if African society will consume and buy their products, they
Yeah.
have a chance to grow the business in 5 years up to 100 million of revenue to 200 million of revenue in 5-10 years. And so they're looking for those pioneers, people who believe they can do it.
We can do
even
it. Yeah.
and even if you fall down and you fail, they're looking for people, even if they fail, they still get back up and continue moving forward. So they're looking for those kind of people, not really money wise in your account. And
Yeah.
so I said, okay, if these are the qualities, this is me. I'm an unshakable optimist, for God's
Yeah,
sake.
you own it.
The only way you put me down is if you kill me. Otherwise, if I'm alive, I'm gonna get back up and keep moving, keep going. So I'm gonna apply for this opportunity. And I applied for Forbes, and you know, uh, they asked some questions. We provide the questions they asked, financials, audited financial reports, tractions in your company, you share even more, then that was like a pass. Now the biggest test was, who are you? Now let's know, what is your story? Do you think you are that pioneer, that entrepreneur who has what it takes? And so I said, yo guys, this is me. So I have to, I have to go back and forth, story interviews, like what happened, what is your life. So they're looking for traits in your life story to see if this person
Deserves it.
does has what it takes to become an entrepreneur. Because it's hard to be an entrepreneur. It's really hard, especially in Africa where there's no support. Sometimes your
Yeah.
family is your own, doesn't even believe what you're doing, wanting to get employment,
Yes.
So that story checked in with them and they said, okay, wait, you will hear from us. And it passed. June. So they always announced in June. June came. June 1st. I'm like, what happened? Oh my goodness. And then finally they announced and I was on Forbes. And so that was me living the dream of being on Forbes in the 30s, right?
Yes. Wow, this is so inspiring. So, if you're
Thank
out
you.
there wanting to get anything, actually, I've been listening and reading to a lot of motivational speakers with their personal experiences. Some of them even their dream houses, they actually print their dream houses and just put it somewhere they can actually look at every morning, and then it actually
Absolutely.
happens. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'll definitely share mine one day. Let them
You,
come
I mean,
and
yeah, please, please. I'll remember to keep track and maybe I'll be the one interviewing you back then.
definitely, I'll be honored.
Yeah.
You're in the G. By then, it was in 2007. You're in part of the African youth people who attended the
Yeah.
G8 summit. How's the experience? Like G8 is not a joke.
Yeah, I know. I think it's just what I said. I told you. It's like for me, if you look at the Forbes, G8, the Queens, this
Yeah,
one of the things that just happened from nowhere. These are things that I envisioned. I saw those they were happening, and I prepared for 3-4 years, preparing, mirroring every year, and studying the people again. But back then, what I was doing actually, um, I mean, before the experiences, like I think it's good if you know what happened. I found myself at the G8 back then, So back in Monza, I happened to work with a team that was founded by an organization called Kuleana. Kuleana was a center for street children in Monza, and there's a team there. Hope Gaboni, Bennett Malima, some incredible people who had an idea to empower young people. And it was a bit of a mentorship, but they were bringing kids from school, from home, because most of their work was advocates. And advocates, you have to involve a lot of young people in schools, at homes, in streets, and everything. So
yeah,
one of the tasks was to advocates for child rights and responsibility as well, And we together, there's a group was formed called Sauti ya Watoto, a voice of kids and a voice of children. And the intention was this was an advocates group of young people from different schools around the city of Monza to go to schools, to go to radio, to involve government officials, to lobby, to advocates for what we deem fit then to become part of the policy changes or mindset changes or advocating for the African Charter for Child Rights, the UN Charter for Child Rights as well. And the content in those charters was supposed to be taught to people, supposed to be digested in a very, easily understandable way. So people, local wananchi at home, in the village, can understand. And the best way was to use us as young people to speak our languages, some,
yeah,
whether it's tribal, whether it's Swahili, but to take the message close to our communities in a very simple nugget people can understand. So that was our law. So then we were working with street kids. So we would take kids from the street every Saturday, Saturday. And before that, on Friday, we take them on the street and we bring them at the center and we will do training with them about what are the child rights, what are their responsibility as well. Because there's a notion, a kid in the street, oh, they are not, they're prodigal kids, they're bad kids,
yeah.
and that's a very long narrative. Some kids are treated because of, dysfunctional marriage, dysfunctional
Family.
families, responsible or, pregnancy between female and males and young people and end up send the kids to their grandma or to relatives, and relatives, oh, even AIDS, or parents were dying, there was no one to support the kids,
Yeah.
or just the lack of sensitivity in Tanzanian culture to adopt kids. We don't really good when it comes to adopting kids. Even our relatives, we didn't take kids who are not their own in the house
Yeah.
and care for them and love them dear as human. And so we wanted to advocate for these things. And so we bring kids from the street and we will teach them about their child rights, responsibilities as well in society, at homes, at school, so they behave, so they don't act strange as how, because if they act strange, then they prove the social conception, oh, they are bad kids. So we have to teach them. And then every Saturday we'll take them on a 2-hour radio show, a Radio Free Africa in Mwanza. And our aim, our goal was just one, like we wanted their voice to be heard.
Yeah.
What is it like for them to live on the streets? What are the daily plight during the day, in the middle of the night, where they have
The
to sleep
challenges.
outside in boxes, when it's raining, when they have to sleep in dungeons? Like, what is that? So I wanted people to see and hear and feel so they can sympathize. So maybe we would change the conception of, street kids are bad kids. So that was our work. And I think then I was elected as Tanzania chairperson of the, so in Tanzania, there was a child council that was under the ministry. And so the chairperson for Tanzania. And then through that, UNICEF came there was a G8 meeting happening in German. And that year, in 2007, most of the agendas were touching Africa. Like there's HIV/AIDS, the prosperity, economic growth for Africa, one of the agenda. Also, there were health and genital mutilation, and climate change, and all these four were affecting Africa. And so they
Yeah.
wanted to have young people from Africa to share their experience of the impact that these kind of challenges have in their local settings, in their local, communities. And so UNICEF were looking for 10 young people across the globe. So 4 from Africa, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Sierra Leone, and Central African Republic. And some were we were all in the same group, non-G8 member. We're 10 of us. Some was India, Moldova, Brazil. Some were like 10 countries. And so Africa, we were 4 of us. And so we went. So the idea, we were supposed to go to the G8, the Junior 80. It's a month training. We'll stay there in Germany for a month. You've been trained about these issues, climate change, economic prosperity for Africa, HIV and AIDS and all those kind of things. So it's a training, but also it's a training that is based on us sharing our experience. So we influence the content that has to be produced, then to be sent to the G8 for final decisions, right? And so it's that kind of training. And so stand there for a month in German. And so our last days of the trainings, and we were supposed to meet Chancellor Angela Merkel in her office in German. And so we've traveled there by bus from Wismar, as we were, to Berlin. And in the meeting, so, Tanzania, that was my first trip out of Africa. And so there were instructions, but I ignored, the weather instructions, what to bring, what to wear, blah, blah. So I went with my lighter, bongo clothes,
Jacket.
Yeah.
With your summer clothes.
And so I'm there in the meeting at the council. It's cold outside, and in the room, it's cold. AC is on. So we were like 74 as young people, and herself and some of our assistants, and we're talking. And so it's like a 1.5 hour meeting. And so
Wow,
it's
that's long.
yeah, it
You
was
must have
a
been
lounge.
thinking.
It's a lounge table meeting. So I was shivering like this, like, because now I cannot talk. All I'm feeling is the cold in my bones, And so I was quiet. And so I was the only boy from Africa, from all the, so the other Africans were all females. So I was the only boy.
Yeah.
So I think that so people are talking, they're back and forth, raising hands and sharing ideas. And I was just quiet because I couldn't talk because of the cold. So she kind of, when she about to close, she picked up on me, young man from Tanzania, Isaya, right? You've been quiet all this time. What's your opinion on? I think there's a particular point she was asking for. What's your point on this? And yo, man, so I was like nervous and cold and all, like I'm like she ambushed me. So I didn't want to give my opinion, and so
Yeah.
rather I shared my experience with sweet kids.
Yeah.
And in the end, I tried to make a conclusion of what she was asking for. And so, funny thing is how God works is when I shared that story, working moms as sweet kids, and she just went and said, "Yes, that's it. I was looking. That's it. I want him tomorrow to speak the head of the G8. Bring him tomorrow. Prepare him tomorrow. He'll come to speak. I want all of them to hear him speak." That's how it happened. So I wasn't planned to speak at the G8 meeting.
Ah,
I
the
wasn't planned.
journey.
Yeah. So it was just then asked to share my point of view, and I used a story of what I do and how we see that has an impact into young people and community as well. And I think she said that's what I want. That's a good testament. I want them to hear that. Say it exact as you just said today. And so from that
And then it
moment,
happened.
I have like people, 8 of them prepping me, what are you gonna wear? Let's write your speech,
You even had
everything
hairstylists and
happened.
everything.
No, I mean, so I went to German with Bent Malima, who used to be one of my earlier mentors, a really incredible guy. And so there's an option to wear a suit and everything. So Bent, I think, said, you know what, this is a golden ticket for you to present Africa. Why don't you wear African? The only thing we went there with that was African. The Masai sandals
Attire.
and Masai sandals and TZ bracelet. That's the only thing I have from Africa. So,
With the
so
cold,
that
I
Mungu
did
bwana
matter.
basi.
Anyway,
Yeah, but
whatever.
anyway, so
Uh-huh.
yeah. So they actually had to reach the Tanzania embassy in German to
Uh-huh.
see if they have anything traditional.
Culture,
And
yeah.
then they brought us the Maasai print and blah blah. And so I wore that to the jet meeting. That's how it happens. The feeling was sure, really. The security details. The level of scrutiny that you have to go through. But then you are allowed power in the meeting. This special building pavilion. They built a special pavilion in the middle of Hellingdam.
Yeah.
And so you see helicopters flying, above while the meeting is going on. The security is like intensive and all that. It was a great experience. But what was more great for me was, by then I come from Shule Akata, it's like a word
Yeah.
school. I never went to, a private school. So my English is self-taught, Ubishubishule. And so I'm speaking there and I'm seeing people following up. And what was the most interesting part is after my speech in that meeting, like 4 3 pleasant followed up on what I was saying in a private meeting outside the room. That was really special because, again, what was special about that is that these are people who they're telling you about your country and they seem to know more about your country than you do.
Than yourself, yeah.
They're like, okay, how do you know so much about my country? And I don't know this much. But
Wow,
yeah.
that is very eye-opening, and it even shows like once one door is opened, one opportunity is open, another opportunity opens up as well. Like who
Absolutely.
knew you would actually go to just a small round table that will open a door to you attending a GA. That's a great thing. And also,
Yeah, absolutely.
it teaches us when you go outside the country, you should be ready with at least a flag or something.
No, so
And
the thing about flags, let me tell you something. The thing about flag at Tanzania, me, I'm Tanzanian, and
yeah,
I've been in a lot of international
meeting.
meetings that represent my country. And the fun thing is when I was leaving for the G8 meeting, I was denied to be given the Tanzanian flags.
Why?
I don't know, they know themselves. Well, this boy from Mwanza Kijijini, who no one knows me, so what a flag. You're just going to a meeting, a youth meeting, so
No one
actually
is interested.
no one even had expectations that I would do that good. It was like, oh, UNICEF selected him, picked him. I don't know why, because I think they wanted some of the people to go. I wasn't the choice to go. People here really didn't like
Yeah.
that. So they did not me to have it. We actually fought for the flag to have it. I never had it. And I was like, oh, it's okay. And so since then, I mean, I'm Tanzanian, so it's
Yeah.
enough, you know.
That's sad
Yeah,
though. But
yeah,
anyways,
it's what it
you
is.
know, that does not define us whatsoever. Like when God just decides
If you
something
if
on you, it doesn't
because
matter.
if you cut my blood, you only find 4 colors, and that's Tanzania. So that's for me, it's enough. You won't find any other colors.
Yeah,
It's enough.
definitely. And guys,
Yeah.
sorry, this my ears have tendency of just not
Oh,
holding earphones.
oh boy, it's all right. No, it's
Yeah, they keep falling. I, anyways, these people should create more. You know, such problems. I'm telling you my problem here, Isaiah. People
I'm
like us, we
listening.
have smaller ears, so we need something to attach. You see, they just create this one. So, speaking of creating stuff like, example, you have speakers going on, you have
Hmm.
smart watches going on.
Yes.
How is that even possible? Like, what's the journey? You know?